Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Today is April 7th. Plenty of sweeps and walk-offs this weekend, as well as Vladdy signing his extension. Let's talk about it. Hello, everybody. My name is Steven. This is the middle of the order. How are we doing today, ladies and gentlemen? Boy, who would have thought that a measly 12:30 a.m. on a day like today they would announce the Vladdy extension. I mean, I was working, I was doing, getting this episode ready, and all of a sudden, just breaking news. Vlad staying in Toronto could potentially be the first kind of lifelong J with a historic career, depending on how it goes. But we'll be talking about all of that and more in today's episode. I'm very excited to talk about that Vladdy extension. I got plenty of thoughts and remarks on that. But before we dive in on that and that amazing news that I cannot wait to talk about, let's get going with our series recap. Leading things off, we've got the Cardinals and the Red Sox. The Red Sox combined for 4 home runs with the Cardinals in the first game, 13-9 the final there. Rain on Saturday meant the first doubleheader of the year on Sunday, in which the Red Sox took the Cardinals into the 10th inning. Devers gets his first home run of the year. The Red Sox scored 2 in the 9th to tie it, and then Wilyer Abreu walk-off single in the 10th to win the first of the doubleheader. And in the second one, it got ugly very early on. Bregman and Devers shined as the Red Sox onslaught over the Cardinals. The two of them combined 8 for 9, a home run, 4 doubles, 9 RBIs, and 6 runs. The Red Sox sweep the Cardinals 18-7. Oilers and Royals. Gunnar Henderson makes his season debut, goes 1 for 4 in it, but a 5-run 8th inning for Kansas City. It pulls them away from this one, 8-2 the final there. Bobby Witt Jr. hits his first home run of the year in the second game, but the Oilers this time, a 4-run 6th inning that helps them put it away, an 8-1 Baltimore win there. The rubber match would see the Royals score 3 runs in the first, and now it set the tone in this one. Royals 4-1 the final, take 2 of 3 against Baltimore. The White Sox and the Tigers. Kerry Carpenter, have yourself a day. 2-homer day for him as the Tigers take it 7-4 win there. Second game, Kerry Carpenter, he does it again, and he's joined by Spencer Torkelson, who's looked good. Second home run of the year for him. It's a 7-2 victory there. And for the final game, the Tigers score 3 in the 9th to get a comeback win. It was 3-1, and they end up with a 4-3 win as Spencer Torkelson, as I mentioned, he looks good. A 2 RBI double wins it for Detroit. They sweep the White Sox, take all 3 games. Astros and Twins played a 3-game series. The Astros take the first game as Christian Walker gets his first home run as an Astro. He went back-to-back with Jeremy Pena in a 5-2 Astros win. Second game, it's a 6-run 4th inning for the Twins. Jose Miranda homered in that inning as that led them to a win 6-1. And for the final game, the Twins led this one by 6. The Astros, though, come back, and in the 9th inning, Yordan Alvarez hits the game-tying 2-run home run. That sends us to the 10th inning. The Astros were able to score 2 in the 20th. The Twins could not score, so after a 6-run lead, they blow it. Astros win it 9-7, take 2 of 3 from Minnesota. Guardians and the Angels. Jose Ramirez. 1, 2, 3 home runs in the game for Ramirez, leading to an 8-6 Guardians win. But the Angels would have some fight in their system in this series. 10-4 in the second game as Trout gets a home run in his 3rd straight game. Soler, Rengifo, O'Hoppe all join him in the home run parade there. And for the rubber match, it's Logan O'Hoppe who hits a home run in all 3 games of the series. Soler and Paris also homered in this game. Angels with a 6-2 win to take 2 of 3 from the Guardians. Rays and Rangers. It would be a Texas series here. A 4-run 3rd inning sets the pace for the Rangers in this series and in this game. 5-2, Texas takes it. Then the second game, it's a home run day. Marcus Semien, Jake Berger homering for Texas, Brandon Lau and Jonathan Aranda homering for Tampa Bay, but it's the go-ahead 2-run Wyatt Langford bomb. That's the difference in this one. 6-4 Texas, your final there. And in the last game, Corey Seager hits his first home run of the year, and Jonah Heim would eventually need to be the hero with a walk-off single, leading to a 4-3 Texas win. The Rangers sweep the Rays, get all 3 games at home. Dodgers and Phillies. The Dodgers still undefeated. What could the Phillies have for them? It's a late 2-run home run for Tommy Edman to put the Dodgers within 1 in the 9th inning, but those 3 runs earlier on were enough for the Phillies as they hand the Dodgers their first loss of 2025. Dodgers, though, come back strong in Game 2. Kike Hernandez and Michael Conforto do the damage with home runs for the Dodgers. That leads to a 3-1 victory. And in the road match, Teoscar Hernandez, he hits 2 home runs in the day, but on the same day that Alex Ovechkin breaks Wayne Gretzky's NHL goal record, Castellanos hits a grand slam that put the Phillies back up, and they had a 6-run 3rd inning. The Dodgers, they came back to take a 1-run lead, but in the 7th, the Phillies would tie it and take the lead with 2 runs. That would be the difference. The Phillies take 2 of 3 from the Dodgers, hand them their first 2 losses. 8-7 Phillies, the final in that 3rd game. D-backs and Nationals, it's Corbin Carroll with a 2-homer day. That leads to a 6-4 Diamondbacks win in the first game, but the Nationals come back a 3-run first inning in that first game. Eduardo Rodriguez looked good with 12 strikeouts, but gave up 4 earned runs in the game. 4-3 Nationals, and then they take the road match. 5-4 Nationals win a close game there against the D-backs. How about Washington taking 2 of 3 from Arizona? The Blue Jays and the Mets. Soto makes his home debut as a Met for the first of many years, and Pete Alonso, he goes yard in this game. 5-0 Mets. Then in the second game, the Blue Jays had a 2-run lead. The Mets come back with 3 runs in the last 2 innings. That set off a Francisco Lindor walk-off sac fly to beat the Blue Jays once again. 3-2 Mets. Might as well make it a hat trick. 2-1 Mets in the final. They sweep the Blue Jays, their first series with Soto at home. Tough one there for Toronto. Marlins and the Braves. Can the Braves get the monkey off their back at home for their home opener? Ozuna and Olsen both homer, and it's the Braves' first win. Schwellenbach with a gem that ends the 7-game losing streak. 10-0 Braves, their first win of the year, but it didn't last long because in Game 2, how about Matt Mervis? You ever heard of that guy? He hits 2 homers against the Braves. Marlins win it 4-0 to even up the series, and it will stay even because rain on Sunday postpones the 3rd game to be made up on August 9th. So a quick 1-game split here, or 2-game split, 1 each here for the Marlins and the Braves, but at least the Braves have their first win. Yankees and Pirates. The Yankees are in Pittsburgh, and they are crushing the baseball. 7 runs in a 3-inning span for New York in that first game with a 9-4 victory. And how about Trent Grisham, the new Alex Verdugo? He has a 2-homer day in a 10-4 Yankees win as they go for the sweep on Sunday. The Yankees, they score 3 in the 9th to tie this game up. We go into extras. We end up in the 11th inning where it is the Pirates that get the walk-off. Tommy Pham, he gets a single in the 11th. Pirates avoid the sweep. They beat the Yankees 5-4 in 11. Reds and Brewers. The Reds still in the midst of a cannot score streak. Their 3rd straight 1-0 loss as the Brewers take the first of 4 in this series. They come back strong with a 3-2 victory, but those 2 runs mean that the Reds finally scored some runs. It only took them 35 innings before the last time they scored runs. So after a hot start, Cincinnati cooled off at 35 scoreless innings. Is crazy. They came back though the next day on Saturday and took a dub, 11-7 Cincy. They got 2 homers in the second and 2 homers in the fourth, thanks to Blake Dunn, TJ Friedl, Christian Encarnacion Strand, and Jose Trevino. But that was their only win of the series, as the Brewers come back on Sunday and win it 8-2 with a 5-run fourth inning. Jackson Chourio gets 2 homers in the game, putting his total up to 3, and the Brew Crew takes 3 of 4 from the Reds. Padres and Cubs played some intense games. It would take a 3-1 Cubs win in the first game to hand the Padres their first loss of the 2025 series. They would come back the following day and hand them another with a 7-1 final. But in that last game, Kyle Tucker and Jackson Merrill both homer, one for each of their respective teams. It's a 7-7 game in the 9th inning, but a Cubs error allows the Padres to score a run in the top of the 9th, and that would end up being the difference. Cubs lose it on an error, lose the sweep. Padres win it 8-7, but Cubs take 2 of 3. A's and Rockies. This first game went into extras all the way into the 11th inning, where the A's would score 3 runs. Colorado cannot answer, and the A's take a 6-3 opening game in this series. They would bounce back with Rooker and Langeliers in the second game. Home run from both of them in the 7th inning. They came back from a 3-run deficit to win 7-4 and take the second game of that series here. But then the Rockies go to their farm system, make a call to Chase Dollander to make his MLB debut. He goes 5 innings, 7 hits, 4 earned runs, 1 walk, and 6 Ks in a respectable Major League debut. The Rockies get 5 runs in the 8th to put this game away, and Dollander gets a win in his Major League debut, 12-5 Colorado. The Rockies avoid the sweep there. And lastly, Mariners and Giants. This first game was wild. Julio, he goes deep. A wild pitch scores one for the Mariners to tie up this game. Willy Adames in the first game as a Giant would be the hero. A 2 RBI single walks it off for the Giants in the 11th inning for a 10-9 victory. Second game would be 4-1 Giants as they feel themselves at home for the first time. And in the last game, it's Julio once again. Mike Yastrzemski gets a go-ahead 3-run blast. The Mariners would tie it. And after a scary injury, Wilmer Flores is the hero for San Francisco. He would walk it off an RBI single as the Giants sweep the Mariners. Their first series at home, they win that game 5-4. Let's stay with this Giants and Mariners series here for our game of the weekend. We're going back to Friday, the first game of this series, and it starts in the top of the first with a Julio, his home run, a solo shot, his second of the year, makes it 1-0 Seattle early, but that doesn't last. The Giants get back right away. Matt Chapman, an RBI single in the bottom of the first, puts the Giants back within, well, not back within 1, ties up the game. Bottom second, Lamont Wade Jr., he would double in 2 to take the lead for the Giants, 3-1 there. Top of the third, though, things get away from the Giants. They walk Randy Arozarena with the bases loaded, and that sets up a Jorge Polanco RBI single to tie the game up as Mariners get back those 2 runs right away, 3-3 there. Bottom fourth, Jung Ho Lee gets an RBI single, and that would follow by a Heliot Ramos single. The Giants put up 2 to take a 5-3 lead, but then in the top of the fifth, Jorge Polanco, a 2-run home run. It's the getbacks right away, ties up the game once again, his second of the year, 5-5 in 5. But in the bottom of the fifth, Willy Adames, an RBI double. Giants back out in front. A back and forth game brings us to the top of the sixth. The very next inning, Cal Raleigh, he would reach on a fielder's choice that allows not 1 but 2 Mariner runs to score, as a fielding error by Tyler Fitzgerald allowed that to happen. And then Jorge Polanco, he would single in another one, so the Mariners score 3 in the inning to take an 8-6 lead. But in the bottom of the 6th, the very same inning, Matt Chapman, his second home run of the year, a solo shot, Giants back within 1, and then a Patrick Bailey ground out forces in a run, 8-8 the score. It's just both of them coming back punch for punch. It would stay like this until we hit extras. Nothing would happen in the 10th. So in the 11th, the wild pitch scores Rayleigh. The Mariners have a 1-run lead. But in the bottom of the 11th, in his home opener debuting as a Giant, Willy Adames comes through in the clutch. He gets a single to the right fielder, Robles. Mato scores to tie it. Fitzgerald scores to win it. The Giants walk it off on their home opener. 10-9 your final. A great game, and that's exactly why it is your game of the weekend. But that is all I want to talk about for now, because it's now time to talk about the reason that you're probably watching this episode, if you are watching this episode. And that is because Vladimir Guerrero Jr. signed a 14-year, $500 million extension with the Blue Jays. And I know what you're thinking. Did he not give a deadline? He did. He said that after February 18th, when the Jays reported to camp and he started focusing on the season, that he would not engage in any more extension talk. And from that point on, we all thought that the Blue Jays' future was going to be in this bubble of uncertainty until the trade deadline, until the offseason. Like, nobody really knew what was going to happen with the Blue Jays. And that's because we thought Vladdy was going to be true to his word. Obviously, the conversations were still happening, and it made sense because when your future is at limbo and you have no idea what to do, I mean, like, of course you're going to try to keep talking. And I think Roth Atkins and Mark Shapiro, the general managers there in Toronto, did the right thing by still talking to him and his agents and trying to get an extension, because now they know where they stand, and that is they are locking up their first baseman. The 4-time All-Star, the Home Run Derby champion, 2-time Silver Slugger, All-Star Game MVP. He's got a Gold Glove and finished second in MVP voting just a few years ago. He finished 6th in Rookie of the Year when he debuted back in 2019. And since then, in his 6-year career, not including this year so far, strong years with the Blue Jays, to say the very least. Of course, that 2021 was very special, but last year was definitely a strong year as well. So in his 6-year career, not including this year, he's accumulated 13.4 career WAR. He's also gotten, that doesn't sound right. Blah, 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 blah. Sorry, 21.3 career WAR is the correct numbers we're looking for there. In 819 games, he had 905 hits, 160 home runs, 507 RBIs, a career batting average of 288, and an OPS of 863. He's been an all-star the last 4 years since 2021. He's a very good ball player, and he is kind of the future of Toronto. Of course, that 2021 season was magical. Would have been an MVP type of season had it not been for Ohtani. And then after a slight down year in 2022, he really took a down year in 2023. Was still an all-star, but after that second half, he was ice cold. 26 home runs. He had a 788 OPS, his lowest besides his rookie year. Even COVID, he had a better OPS, and he kind of struggled in COVID that year as well. But then last year, we got that kind of bounce back Vladdy that we'd been looking for. His best season since 2021, where he picked up 30 home runs, 103 RBIs. He had his second career best OPS of 940. And he's been a dog, and he's been that face of the franchise for Toronto really since, he came up and debuted. I actually got the special honor of being at that first game when he debuted with Toronto. So I got to see Vladdy live in person. when he debuted against the Athletics and got to see his first major league hit that doubled down the line in the 10th inning. So very special player to me, and I'm very happy to say that he is going to be with Toronto. So far in 2025, it hasn't been the hottest Vlad start that we've seen. He's 10 for 39, a 256 batting average, 667 OPS. We're still looking for that first Vladdy home run of 2025, but he does have a couple of doubles. He does have a couple of RBI, so he has been, a decent bat so far. I think now with the extension done in the back of his mind now, he can just focus on being the best hitter he can, the best player he can be. I'd expect a big series for him coming up. He's going to be in Fenway taking on Boston. He's hit plenty of home runs there before. I'd expect to see home run number 1 this year for Vladdy, maybe even more. I'm expecting, now that the contract's done, there's nothing in the back of your mind. You're locked up. You're getting paid. Just be the player that you are. Show them that you're worth that kind of money. Obviously, it's going to be about just under 36 mil a year. I don't believe there was any deferrals in the contract. Of course, this is brand new news though. This is for me recording this now and and everything. This news is about an hour and 20 minutes old. I've legitimately hasn't even been 100 minutes since they announced the Vladdy extension. So I'm very happy that I don't have to put this off until Friday, and I got to bring this in until Monday. There was news that it was going to start creeping up. Jeff Passan said that, it could potentially happen this week. But the fact that here we are, the start of the week, it legit was 12:30 a.m., to say the very least, that Vlad is extended and he's going to be a Blue Jay. And I mean, yeah, this really is the best case scenario for Toronto, because now you're not in that simple limbo of, what's the direction of the franchise. When you look at the depth chart, it's a little bit concerning if Vladdy left, because if Vladdy left, there's a good chance that Bo will leave. And then what you have is Jimenez and Santander and Springer and good players, but you need that guy, that guy to build around that star type of player. And Vladdy is exactly that. He's 26 years old. He's going to be 40 by the time the contract expires. But all these guys, all these types of contracts that we're seeing have guys going up until they're 40. So it doesn't matter. It's just the Blue Jays finally getting a guy. They lost out on Ohtani. They lost out on Soto. They lost out on Sasaki. Plenty of other guys that they were trying to get. And they finally got Vlad. And that's something that you can use to continue to build your team around. And I think that is hopefully what we'll see kind of going forward here for the Blue Jays. Obviously now the focus would then shift to Bo Bichette and what happens with him, depending on how the year goes. If the Blue Jays are hot, if they're a top 2 team, top 5 team in the AL, in general here, I'd expect to keep Bo if he's playing well and, depending on how that all goes. But let's say the season goes awry from them. They got a tough April. They just got swept by the Mets after sweeping the Nationals. So, this series against Boston could be very telling for how the rest of the April will go for the Blue Jays. But if we get to June, July, the All-Star break, and the Blue Jays are 5th in the division, if they're, 10 games back of a wild card, we would definitely could potentially see Bo Bichette get traded. They have a top kid in their prospect system, Arjun Nimala. He's their second ranked prospect overall, and he's been playing very well, and I know he's young and he's probably still a decent bit away. He could definitely, come in or kind of be that guy for them a little bit at shortstop. There are options if they trade Bichette, is what I'm trying to say here. But obviously, Bo Bichette has been on the record saying he would like to spend his entire career with Vlad, wherever that may be. Well, now that Vlad's been locked up, I mean, that kind of, puts a little bit on pressure for Bo if he wants to stay with the team here. But all in all, great for the Blue Jays, great for Vladdy. It's a win-win, realistically. If you want to call it an overpay, you can totally do that. I think a lot of, if you're calling these contracts overpays, then you're just a realistic, because take away the fan aspect, take away the sport aspect. This is absurd amount of money for people. What Ohtani's getting paid, what Soto's getting paid. Some of these contracts have just gotten way too much, and with the inflation of these contracts. Back then when we saw like Kershaw getting 300 mil to something, like I remember this kind of all started when Harper and Tatis, I think in 2019 or 18, they got 300 plus million contracts after waiting the whole offseason for until like February when they signed with the Phillies and Padres, and like that kind of set this like frenzy of 300 plus mil contracts for the Stars, and now we're getting to 500 plus mil for the Stars and all that stuff. It's an absurd amount of money, but the way I see it, Blue Jays have their guy. They have a future now. They have a direction. Vladdy's getting his money. The fans are ecstatic. I can tell you that much. That like this is what they needed to see. It's been limbo for years, realistically, and now there's finally confirmation that Vladdy is signing with Toronto. That they are together in the long run. That's exactly what they need to hear. And locks it up, and we can move on. It's done and dusted here. So good for Vlad and good for the Blue Jays. So let's talk about some of the baseball that actually happened finally now. We had plenty of sweeps this weekend, and by sweeps, and by plenty, I mean a third of them. A third of the series here. We had 5 sweeps. The Giants swept the Mariners. The Red Sox swept the Cardinals. Mets swept the Blue Jays, Rangers swept the Rays, and the Tigers swept the White Sox. Of course, some of those are realistic, and some of those are kind of surprising a little bit here and there. And of course, throughout all the games this weekend, we had 7 walk-offs, which, I mean, is a lot, but also when you compare it to how many games there are, maybe isn't a lot, but I thought it was a lot. Seven walk-offs. The Giants had 2 of them. Willie Adames, Wilmer Flores. Texas, Jonah Heim had 1. Boston had Willie Abreu get 1. Pirates and Tommy Pham, Francisco Lindor and the Mets. And how about Spencer Torkelson and the Tigers? And if you look at those 5 teams that swept, in the Giants, Red Sox, Mets, Rangers, Tigers, well, 6 of those walk-offs come from those 5 teams, and the other one being Tommy Pham and the Pirates. Willie Abreu, Red Sox, Flores and Adames, Giants, Lindor, Mets, Torkelson, Tigers, Jonah Heim, Rangers. So, I mean, if you swept, you walked off. The home teams were in control in this weekend here. So, that's kind of fun to see here as we're getting now into our 4th series already. Speaking of the series already, there are still 4 teams that have yet to lose a series, and those are your San Francisco Giants, your Texas Rangers, your Philadelphia Phillies, and your Los Angeles Angels. So despite not sweeping, the Phillies and Angels both were able to take care of business. Angels against the Guardians, and the Phillies against the Dodgers. How about that? So we are now in a position where those are the only 4 teams who haven't lost a series yet. And if that's the case, I mean, you're probably looking good in the standings. We'll obviously take a look and check those out going forward here. And even if you're not looking good in the standings, well, at least you're still making baseball interesting. And that would be the Colorado Rockies. We got to talk about them really quickly and mention, you know what? Maybe they can make this year fun and exciting for the fans. Of course, yesterday on Sunday, they made the move to call up Chase Dollander, their number 1 prospect for his major league debut, a start against the A's. And it was a decent game. I think, for your first start, you're in Colorado, you're in Coors, so obviously it's tough to make, to be a pitcher there. But 5 innings, 7 hits, 4 earned runs, a walk, and 6 Ks. 6 Ks, solid. And of course you would hope to get less, earned runs there for us, a little high, but you get the benefit of the doubt. You're young, you're playing at Coors, but, it comes with the game. I'm excited to see what else he's able to bring to the table for Colorado this year. But it was also announced later yesterday, I guess, on Sunday, that the Rockies would be calling up Zach Veen, their number 8 prospect overall. So the Rockies making a couple of calls to their farm system to bring up some top prospects. Of course, Zach Veen, he's been in the minors with them for, about 5 seasons now. I think he got drafted in, I think, 2019. Don't quote me on that because I don't know off the top of my head. But yeah, I mean, since 2021, I believe, with those 5 seasons here, 350 games, he got 342 hits, 41 home runs. He's got a 790 OPS. A solid player. I think he's going to bring some energy and some hype for the Rockies going forward here. He's going to play outfield. Top prospects coming over for Colorado. Maybe get a potential rookie of the year and an extra draft pick this year. And I mean, for the fans, you get to see kind of some new faces and some guys who have been in the talks in your farm system for a long time and have been some of the guys like Dollander. I remember finding his name out, I think, in 2023 now. So it's been 2 years since I first heard of this guy. And now he's going to get a chance to make a name for himself in the big leagues. And Zach Veen, I think I heard about him last year, I think in the spring breakout. I feel like he played in that. And, I think he had a nice game there. So, it's fun when you get to see some of these top prospects get the call here. And the Rockies, you know what? Obviously, they're going to be last in the division, the way that division's gone so far. I mean, it's crazy how good all 4 of those teams are. I think all 4 of those teams could make the postseason, realistically. But at least, the Rockies can have some fun, bring up some top players, and make it interesting for themselves and their fans. And it kind of, you get to see what you have out of the farm system. And I think that's kind of what Colorado will be doing here. Not sure if any more of the top prospects will get the calls here, but, 2 is more than a lot of other teams will be doing. So good stuff there from the Rockies. So moving on now, let's talk about the hot and colds from the week that was the last 7 days here. We've got some hot players, and no one is hotter than Jose Ramirez. The hottest player in baseball this week was 8 for 19, 2 doubles, 4 home runs. Of course, 3 of them coming in that game against the Angels, that first game of the series there. He has 5 RBIs, 5 runs, 4 walks, good for 1.700 OPS. How about it? Jose Ramirez. And then Kyle Tucker and the Cubs. This move so far has worked out beautifully for the Cubs because Kyle Tucker has been phenomenal. 9 for 23 this week with 3 doubles, 3 home runs, 8 RBIs, 11 runs, and 8 walks. So you don't want to pitch to him and hit home runs. He will take his bases. A 1.461 OPS for him. Tigers and Riley Green, 10 for 23, 3 doubles, 3 home runs, 5 RBIs, 7 runs, good for a 1.415 OPS. How about Logan O'Hoppe? I took him as my fantasy catcher, and it's played off beautifully so far. He was 8 for 21 with 4 home runs. He's gone 3 straight games with the home run. 8 RBIs, 4 runs, a 1.361 OPS for him. And then Alex Bregman and the Red Sox, how about it? You want to be hot for your new team early on here, and that's exactly what Bregman has brought to the table. 11 for 27, lots of at-bats, 5 doubles, 2 home runs, 10 RBIs, 7 runs, and a 1.263 OPS. 10 RBIs in the week that was here. Some good stuff there from your hot players, but there is always a flip side. The cold side of the pill, the cold players of the week. We've got Austin Riley and the Braves, 3 for 21 with 10 strikeouts. Not great there. Andy Pages from the Dodgers, 1 for 19 with 5 strikeouts. William Contreras from the Brewers, usually their best hitter, is 1 for 20 with 6 strikeouts. Yammer Candelario, one of the struggling Reds players, 3 for 25 with 9 Ks. And it would make sense that if they didn't score in 35 innings, that there would be other Reds on the list here. Christian Encarnacion Strand, despite the home run this weekend, he was 2 for 21 in the week with 6 strikeouts. That doesn't bode well. And those are your 5 players who are cold as ice right now. Not great for those guys. For injury updates, the Dodgers announced that Blake Snell is heading to the 15-day IL with shoulder inflammation. We've seen him have shoulder issues in the past, so not great stuff there. Diamondbacks are placing Ketel Marte on the 10-day IL with a strained hamstring, so you hope that's nothing too long for him and the Diamondbacks there. Brewers placed Nestor Cortez on the 15-day IL with a flexor strain, which sucks for him because after getting tossed around by the Yankees, he actually had a nice start this weekend actually. Even Herrera for the Cardinals on a 10-day IL with left knee inflammation. That kind of stings for him because he was hot. He had a 3-home-run day. I think he had a 4th home run this week. So that's almost doubled his home run total this week before. I think he had 5 home runs entering the year, and he's already got 4. So he's been hot. Jack Leiter for the Texas Rangers on the 15-day IL. He's got a blister in his middle right middle finger is the more makes sense there. And then the scariest injury kind of here coming in from yesterday's game, Victor Robles. He left the game, a brutal injury after an amazing catch. If you did not see it, I wouldn't recommend watching it for the injury, but the catch was something beautiful. But he ended up twisting out his left arm against the netting after running a long way, full sprinting into the corner at San Francisco Giants ballpark. I forget what it's called, AT&T. They always change it. That led to the walk-off, actually, but he was holding his left shoulder, his left arm, his wrist there as well. So really, it was pretty much all of his left arm. So he actually left on a stretcher in that game yesterday as well. So hopefully he's okay. There wasn't any news that I saw of yet of any IL time, but I assume it would be at least the 10-day IL. I don't think that's something that he's going to just sleep off and be ready to go in the Mariners' next game. So I expect him to be on the IL. I'll mention that again on Friday when the official news comes out with exactly what his injury is. They had nothing on it yet, no updates that I saw of. So hopefully Robles is okay there. But those are your injury updates, which will bring us to our outstanding performances. I did my best to limit the numbers of outstanding performances, and I don't know if I was more picky or if there were just less outstanding performances that I saw, but I've got a smaller list than last episode. Starting it off, as mentioned, Nestor Cortez had a nice bounce back with the Brewers. 6 innings pitched, 1 hit, no earned runs, 2 walks, and 6 Ks. Shota Imanaga, 7 1/3 innings pitched, 4 hits, 1 earned run, no walks, and 4 Ks. How about Jesus Luzardo? He's looked good so far for the Phillies, and this was against the Dodgers of all teams. 7 innings pitched, only 2 hits, no earned runs, 2 walks, and 8 strikeouts. He was at his best that day. Spencer Schwellenbach for the Braves' first win of the season. He went 8 innings, only allowing 2 hits, did not walk a batter, did not give up a run, and he struck out 10 for a phenomenal start there. Tyler Alexander from the Brewers, 5 2/3 innings of no-hit baseball. He didn't allow any runs, did walk 3 batters, and he struck out 6 in the beautiful game for him. Chris Bassett in a good game for the Blue Jays before it got away from them. 6.2 innings pitched, 4 hits, no earned runs, no walks, and 9 strikeouts for him. Matthew Boyd in the Cubs, 6 innings pitched, 5 hits, no earned runs, a walk, and 5 Ks. Andrew Heaney with the Pirates against the Yankees. What a start he had. 7 innings pitched, 5 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, and 10 strikeouts. How about Heaney? And lastly, here we got Chris Bubich, who is 2 for 2 with quality starts on the year. 6 2/3 from him, 5 hits, an earned run, a walk, and 8 strikeouts to help the Royals get the series against Baltimore. Those are your outstanding performances. And moving on now, we've got our standings check. Time to take a look at those standings and see how things have been playing up compared to last week. Of course, now we've actually gotten a couple more games under our belt. In the AL East, Boston's on the rise. They've won 5 straight. They were 5th in the division. They are now 2nd with a climb. Yankees still 1st. The Blue Jays were 1st, but after getting swept by the Mets, they've lost 3 straight. They're 5-5. They are 3rd in the division. Tampa has lost 4 straight. They just got swept by Texas. They're 4-5, and Baltimore at the bottom of the division now at 4-6. In the AL Central, despite getting swept by the Dodgers to open up the season. The Tigers are 6-1 since then. They've won 3 straight, and they are the lead of the AL Central. Royals second at 4-5, Guardians 3-6, Twins 3-6, and the White Sox are on a 5-game losing streak and are at 2-7. Texas, on the other hand, they're hot. So hot, they're actually the best team in the AL right now at 8-2. They're on a 5-game winning streak after sweeping the Rays, but still, all teams in the AL West have a negative run differential. Angels, they have not lost a series yet. They're 6-3 and happy in second place, while the Astros are at 4-5, A's 4-6, and Seattle, after getting swept, they are now 3-7, last in the division. Flipping over to the NL side of things, after taking 2 of 3 from the Dodgers, it's the Phillies in first place now in the NL East at 7-2. Mets, after sweeping the Blue Jays, behind them at 6-3. The Marlins, after a split with the Braves here, they're now 5-4. Nationals 3-6. And the Braves did get a win, but still find themselves way down the line at 1-8. The NL Central, the Cubs have seen a boost on the last couple of games. They're 7-5, and they're doing a lot better by taking 2 of 3 from the Padres. The Brewers, after taking 3 from the Reds, are 5-5, sitting second. Cardinals, unfortunate sweep for them against Boston has put them into third place at 4-5. And when you can't score runs, you won't be winning games, and that shows for the Cincinnati's case, as they are now at the bottom with the Pirates. Both those teams are 3-7 records. And lastly, the NL West, the best division in baseball so far. We have a new leader, and that is the San Francisco Giants. They are on a 7-game winning streak, coming off back-to-back sweeps. They're 8-1. They look pretty. The Dodgers, of course, 2 extra games. They've won 1 and have lost 1 of those extra games, so 9-2. And they sit second in the division, half a game up on the Padres, who are 8-2 and third place there. Arizona so far, 5-5. They need to get into things here. There's a 3-way battle at the top right now that they want to be a part of, as they end up right now 4th in the division. And the Rockies, of course, outside looking in 2-7. But hey, Dollander got called up, Zach Veen got called up, so some fun times there for Colorado. That is what the standings look like right now. Yankees, Tigers, Rangers, Phillies, Cubs, and Giants, all your division leading teams. Texas and the Giants, the best teams in the AL, and the NL, Giants best team overall. And that will bring us to our upcoming series for the weekend here, for the week. Coming up, the Angels are heading over to Steinbrenner Field to take on the Tampa Bay Rays. The Blue Jays are in Fenway with newly extended Vladimir Guerrero Jr. What can he bring to the table? Yankees against Tigers, White Sox at Guardians, Twins at Royals, Astros at Mariners, Padres heading to Sutter Health Field to take on the A's, Dodgers at Nationals, Phillies and Braves. It's going to be a tough one for the Braves to get hot off of. Their start of the season has been brutal. The Marlins into Citi Field to take on the Mets. Rangers at Cubs, 2 hot teams in baseball there. Cardinals at Pirates, Brewers at Rockies, Reds at Giants, and then 2 top teams who have been struggling. Baltimore in Arizona to take on the D-backs, and I think that's going to be a turning point for one of those 2 teams. Ladies and gentlemen, that is how this episode will end. I appreciate you all, and what an exciting time for some baseball. The Vladdy extension. A lot of great games of baseball coming up. Our 4th series. We're getting to that point now where it starts to feel like, okay, we're getting into the groove a little bit more into the season and how things will be starting to shape up here. So very excited for that. And, sooner than later, you'll be blinking and, hey, it'll be May. And then it'll be June and then it'll be All-Star break. And then next thing you know, it's the trade deadline. And then all of a sudden, it's the postseason chase. So, yeah, it really comes at you fast sometimes. But I'm happy to say that the season has been great so far. A lot of great moments already. And still plenty more to come. So I appreciate you all. Thank you, everybody, so much. And I will see you on Friday.